Hey guys, Jen back here today. All right, today's topic, what I wanted to talk about is my top tips of how I overcome an anxious moment, if you choose labels, an anxiety attack or a panic attack, those fearful states that we can often put ourselves in or get in when we're navigating something new, navigating something perhaps that has sparked fear in the past and we never dealt with it. So providing some context, I can tell you that for this particular situation for me and this topic, anxiety started, if I had to guesstimate, somewhere in elementary or junior high years. I would probably guess around 7th or 8th grade. And more specifically, what I'm referring to for my most anxious states come in the form of public speaking, speaking in front of large groups, navigating newness behind speaking in front of people in a newer situation. Quite frankly, you guys, even as I started doing live videos, it created a lot of anxiety, and I really built on that. And I can tell you that throughout the years, from when anxiety started for me, I kept building on that fear and just not knowing that it was just new and it was something that I had the power to reframe and say excitement as opposed to fear, or put a different context behind it. I actually built more fear throughout the years. So every time that I would have the opportunity or chance to speak in front of groups or do a training, although externally, most people would tell you I looked fairly confident, internally, I had built up so much anxiety behind it that those days created often so much, anxiety. It created so much internal conflict of what I wanted to do versus how I felt inside. So throughout my journey, I've done a lot of work in that area specifically, as you may have watched in a recent video I did on overcoming barriers. And there's a lot of long-term steps that I personally took to undo all the negative that I had created around public speaking and around showing up on videos or lives in any way. However, you guys, even when we're doing a lot of work, there can spark moments or newness at times that can still bring an anxious moment or an anxiety attack or a panic attack, again, however you choose to define. And for me, I had one of those moments last Friday, which is where this topic stemmed from for all of you. And let me explain. So I had the opportunity to be on a podcast recently, one of many to come. And this particular podcast, and it's amazing, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, her name is Karen Gray, and her podcast is the Rock Movers podcast. Highly, highly suggest. So for Karen's podcast, not only does she do the audio, but she also does video along with her audio. So for me, audio part, I was totally ready. And then she said video. And you guys, even as I say that now, I can feel the tenseness and the stress that I had created in the instant that she said video. And I can tell you last Friday, we created it. And that whole morning, you guys, I literally had to keep reframing the anxious moments that came in. Now, I'm grateful for all the work that I have done throughout the years, so I knew many of the steps that I needed to take. But on the real, you guys, I was scared. There was serious fear for me in that moment behind knowing I'm going to be on this podcast and I'm going to be on this video, and this video, there's no takebacks. You get what you get. And for several times Friday morning, I had literally been reminded of my earliest years and all of the anxiousness I put behind it. So anyway, I wanted to share with you today what I did Friday and what I do when I have those anxious moments to pull myself together and work to minimize the stress that we're putting on not just our body, but our minds and emotionally, because it's not healthy for us. And when there's things that we want, that stress behind what we're putting behind it, it needs to be managed so that we're not burning ourselves out. So that's my number one, first and foremost. The anxiousness, the stress that you're putting on yourself, is it something that's worth it for you? Guys, the fact of the matter is not everyone needs to be a public speaker. Not everyone needs to do certain things. And you need to decide for you, are the things you're doing, is that the stress that's worth fighting for you? If so, work on the skills, work on what needs to be worked on so that you can minimize the stress and be more comfortable in those situations. Again, it's taken me years to get to the point and the comfort level that I'm currently at. And I know that I still have room to grow, and I'm okay with that because I know my why. My why and what I'm working to do for communities and for people to end the loneliness feeling that we can often feel is the reason why it's worth it for me to push through the stress and anxiety that I can sometimes feel with public speaking video. So look at that for yourself. Whatever that anxiousness that shows up, really look and say, okay, is this a fight I want to win? Or maybe there's another outlet you can use that's more comfortable for you. Maybe video is not your thing. Maybe it's audio. And again, it may not be video or anything like that altogether. Perhaps your anxiety comes from different things. And again, I ask you to look in the same way. Is that a situation that you want to get stronger in? Is it a situation that you want to be better in? And if so, then create the tools and the resources that you may need behind it. The next thing that I wanted to just say before I go into my tips is, you guys, anxiety and panic attacks and anxiety attacks, fear in any form, our brains are really smart and our brains are working to protect us. It is quite literally when you're feeling those moments, your brain is trying to say, alarms, hello, watch out. And that's that moment that take a step back and reevaluate. Number one, are you safe? Evaluate your environment, evaluate who you're with. Are those alarms that going off in your head, is it a warning that you may want to evaluate and pick up on and shift a situation? Get in a better situation. Guys, if you need help, seek help. There's therapists, there's emergency outlets. No one belongs putting themselves in an unsafe position or space. So keep that in mind. And then number two, again, our brains are smart. Our brains are trying to tell us, be scared. Something's going on here. Once you evaluate and you determine, am I safe? Am I in a good environment? Am I in a healthy environment? If you are, you may not know this. I didn't know this until several years ago. Our brains can literally not sense the difference between fear and excitement. And for you, and I can tell you for me, I work to now reframe that. And I work to reframe to say, Jen, this isn't fear, this is excitement. You are so excited about your why and the things that you're working to do in life. That's what this is. This is the excitement trying to say, let me out. And it could be that for you. So look at what you can reframe and just do that simple shift in the moment, that maybe it isn't fear, maybe it's excitement, or it's just a strong drive, like, yeah, let's go. That's the energy, guys, working to get out of our bodies, because our bodies are made to be energy. So keep that in mind. All right. Also keep in mind, generally speaking, for me, at least, when I've had anxious moments, it's usually been the newness. And sometimes in the newness of things, it's reminding yourself that there's room to grow and there's room to learn and there's room to build your skills to get better and better through time. Look at kids. We don't expect them to walk when they come out, right? We don't expect them to write day one. We don't expect them to read right away when they start kindergarten. Guys, treat yourself the same way that you would a child in any way when you're learning something new or building on something, that there's that newness and that learning that you can gain. So, okay, what else we got? I mentioned why, but I really want to focus on this, you guys. If it's something that's giving you that much anxiety, really make sure that the heart of your why is in the right spot. Because it will help that anxiety levels in oftentimes. Also look at your triggers. So what is triggering that anxiety for you? When does it show up? Are there situations of when it shows up that you can shift? Maybe it's environmental. Maybe it's work related. And again, is that a skill set that you can learn or do something differently in, or talk to your boss to adjust certain things? And are there people that are triggering you? And this is a tricky one because we can only control us, right? Guys, when we allow other people's behaviors or thoughts or actions to steer our behavior, we're really hurting ourselves. So if your trigger is people who are around you, look at, are you interpreting the situations the right way? Or are there people that just you aren't healthy together? It doesn't mean either of you are bad. It just means maybe there are some unhealthy relationships that you need some reevaluating behind. So keep those in mind. Okay, so in the moment, and several of the steps that I took on Friday and that I always take when I have anxious moments, and sometimes it takes more work than others, of course. Number one, first and foremost for me with all things, is breathing. Guys, the simple act of just breathing can help us so much, and it's so important and it's so healthy. A simple breath. So there's two breathing techniques that I use most. Number one is called box breathing, and that is just this. It's 4 breaths in, or in for a count of 4, and then hold for 4, and then out for 4 and hold for 4. I believe it was actually the Navy SEALs who often use box breathing. It's a technique very well known. So box breathing, 4 in, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Do that as however long you need to bring your body back in balance and balance out your emotions. The other one that I learned more recently, just several months back, is different, but it tends to work really well for me. And it is 2 breaths in, so, and then a light hold, and all the way out. I don't know the science behind it, but I can tell you that the simple act of the 2 breaths in, a short and then a longer, again, for me in the moment, has really helped when I've had a very anxious state that I want to get out of. The next that I generally do is just visualize. After I've made sure I'm in a safe space, I know that there's no harm to come up on me, I really visualize, like, Jen, what do you want to happen at the end of this? What do you want the end zone to look like? Visualize the most positive situation coming up and happening, and visualize just being in that space at the end. It may be scary going in. You may say things a little bit differently than you had intended to. But guys, if you're visualizing a positive outcome in the way that you want it to be, you're going to have better chances of helping that to happen. And sorry to tell you guys, but if you're visualizing negative at the end, or if you're visualizing how scary it is and how all the things you do that might mess up, it may not be quite the way that you want it to be, because we tend to manifest really what we see happening. So visualize. The other thing that I like to do, and I did quite a bit on Friday, is I just sit with my thoughts, and I literally just close my eyes and just let myself be in that moment. You may be familiar, it could be called mindfulness, maybe meditation. Just the simple act of letting thoughts go and be, and just essentially getting out of your thoughts and just being in the space. Perhaps at one point here in the future, I'll do a brief mindfulness video so that you can see some of the techniques I like to use and that have worked best for me. For me, my thoughts tend to go so quickly. It is literally just a matter of sitting with my eyes closed and working to let thoughts just pass as they come up and come in. Other things that you can do, focus on something positive. Focus on things that you love, or that things that make you happy, things that have made you happy in the past. For me, beaches and sunsets and oceans and hiking and the people that I love can all generally tend to bring me to calm. So that would be another one. And focus on a mantra. If you're not familiar with what a mantra is, I also have a video coming up on this one here soon, and that can just be something something very personal for you. Maybe it's just as simple as, I am strong and capable of all the things that I want in life. And in those moments of anxiousness, just reminding yourself, I am strong and capable of everything that I want in life, and bringing yourself to that mantra to repeat, perhaps while you're visualizing, repeating that mantra. Other things that you can do, again, those are my tips when I have in the moment, it's coming, I'm going to do this video and it's coming right now, I gotta get through this anxious, fearful, scared moment. Those are my tips. Now, if you have more time and you're not on a time-sensitive pressure moment that you have to overcome it, other things you can do, I find going for a walk to just calm and get out of whatever space I'm in, get into nature often helps. Kick off your shoes if it's good weather and walk around in the grass. It's very grounding and very beneficial for your body. I also really like muscle relaxation techniques. There's a technique called Yoga Nidra, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I think it's Yoga Nidra. And I personally love it. It does twofold for me. It really centers me on just focusing on the body and just relaxing all of me. Highly recommend, highly beneficial. And the other thing that I will turn to occasionally is just oils, essential oils. Lavender is a really good one. For me, I really like Thieves. It's been good for my environment. My holistic chiropractor turned me on to sage, and that's been really great as well. So there you have it, guys. My top tips on overcoming an anxious moment, an anxiety attack or panic attack. Try them. As always, these are things that you do not need to go through alone. These are things that there's a lot of support and resources in the environments today and in communities today to help with steps through these, through therapists or coaches. If you ever want to chat or want more resources, feel free to message me, comment. And as always, if you're looking for more tips and you like my content, subscribe, like, and share this video. All right, you guys, take really good care, and I will see you again soon. Bye.